All righty. Thanks everybody for joining us this morning. This is Sailor with Omnideck. I'm the channel manager at Omnideck and work with a lot of our partners and resellers. Very glad to present to you Sage and Omnideck and how they work together. I'm guessing that most of you on the call are Sage users, Sage 100 contractor or Sage 300 CRE. We may even have some Intact folks on the call. Glad to have you. So if you got any questions, feel free to type them in the chat or raise your hand on the meeting, and we'll certainly open some things up for questions at the end of the meeting. We will have one poll question as we go. Would love to get some feedback from everybody on the call and see what your thoughts are. So today we're going to be focusing on Omnideck as Sage's workflow portal, and you'll see some news upcoming in the coming months about some things that lend more towards our partnership with Sage. But today we're going to talk about what can you do today with Sage to enhance and extend the life of your current Sage system, or help with your migration path to another system like Acumatic or Intact, whatever that might be. So some of what a lot of companies are dealing with today, you may be in the same boat, is we just have too many apps, and there's been certainly out in the field, tech adoption issues are always going on, depending on the level of expertise our labor has. And in today's day and age, they have to log into multiple applications, right? It may just be two, but it's still two that they have to learn and two that they have to maintain and know their username and password. Well, if we've got 12 apps across our company, both in the field and the office, and 38 employees, you can see how this creates hundreds of connections and many connections to break, different support departments to call. This has kind of become a growing problem in sort of the app world that we've built in the name of automation, you might say. So how are large companies dealing with this? Companies like NBC Universal, you can see, they're implementing systems or portals that are kind of like Facebook or Amazon, where you buy something on Amazon. These are examples of portals that companies like NBC Universal can afford. Unfortunately, small to medium-sized businesses in construction as well can't typically afford the millions of dollars and all of the IT staff that it takes to build something like this. But what is the benefit of it? Why do they spend all this money? Well, it helps them consolidate the number of programs or applications it takes to run their business. It helps them centralize processes and communication, right? So, and it gives them an ECM strategy where no documents are lost. We're not doing manual data entry very often. And it kind of streamlines the experience for every employee. So it doesn't matter if I have an HR request, PTO request, or I need to come in and do some additional training on some certain part of my craft, or track performance. Could be time cards or expense reports, just various things that I need to do can be handled in a portal. So the way that we're doing it today, and to kind of go back to that, you may have a project management app like Procore, or About Time for time collection, Procurify for purchasing, a Concur or Expensify for expense reporting. And so we've got multiple apps to approve things in. And the challenge with this is it's more, instead of just, hey, it's hard to use multiple apps, it's more the conversation about what type of data are we really getting into our ERP system. Well, if we've got it coming from multiple places, we're hoping and relying on that provider of software to give us good interface or integration capabilities, but it's always hit or miss. We kind of get what we need. It's usually a regular import, export, and ideally, it's not leading to an ERP system, that being Sage, with cross-departmental real-time data reporting. Although these apps are giving us real-time reporting, possibly, we're not getting real-time reporting across our company. So what Omnideck does is sort of breaks down these integration walls that we have to deal with. Instead of having 8 walls of integration with 8 different apps, what if you were to do it in 2 or 3? So this is part of the thinking around Omnideck, is it can become that business portal at a much more affordable price to help you with business process in and around Sage. So all we're really doing, think about any app. All we're doing is collecting data in some type of format. We're approving, rejecting, holding. In Omnideck, we would do that in chat around it, so we don't have to do it in Teams or Skype or messaging through our phone or calling. And this is getting more increasingly difficult. And then finally, if we can consolidate the number of apps that we're collecting data in, and we can minimize the number of integrations we need. And so this really starts to give us cross-departmental reporting, but real time. This is what our customers see. We have a few customers on the line now. Looks like we just had somebody join. If you could please put your phone on mute, I'm sure appreciate it. Thank you. So imagine if we've got Omnideck in the hands of our field personnel and the people in the office, and everybody does expense reports, time cards, purchase requests, HR requests, all through one app. This really simplifies the integration experience. So like we talked about, Omnideck is a no-code assembly line. And what does that mean, no code? Well, it means that you have the configurability within the system to match your business process. You don't have to match your business process to the way we build the product, right? So it gives small to medium-sized companies the opportunity to get that business portal like an Amazon, a Facebook, NBC, Universal, how they're doing it as well. But with Sage, what we start to see is a little more seamless data flow from multiple departments. So you can see in accounting, we've got data coming in. We can connect with IoT devices. You may have a scanner on site for tools. You may have, we've got a customer of ours in oil and gas that uses a facial recognition scanner to read the employee's face, and it reads their craft type from the accounting system, and it actually logs in their time, clocks them in, clocks them out, and fills out a time card in Omnideck. So we can connect with devices like that. Your field personnel and office personnel are able to chat next to the form, so it's relevant conversation with an audit trail. And finally, you're able to in-house kind of manage your own process. If you want something to go here instead of there under these types of conditions, those things we have the ability to do that. So looks like we have a couple of questions coming up. All right. Can everybody see my screen? I just want to pause real quick before we go any further here. Can anybody see my screen? If somebody could chat in the message, looks like we got a thumbs up. Good. Awesome. Thank you, Heather. All right. So some of what we say in Omnideck, it kind of depends on your process, but if you have a pretty straightforward time card, expense report, PO request, things like this, we can get you set up in 2 to 3 meetings, honestly. So, we like to say in Omnideck, it takes us 5 hours what it normally takes 5 vendors, 5 months, and 5 figures to accomplish. So Caretaker Landscape, they're one of our clients. We've got 5 stars on Capterra in our client reviews. They're a real interesting story. We were able to replace a $300,000 SharePoint failed implementation and help them with business process, with file management, and do this in a matter of a couple of months. They had a part-time admin that they hired to come in and do sort of process improvement, and she helped create over 50 forms within the company, wasn't a programmer or anything, and was able to solve many processes within their company. So let's talk about them. But ultimately, what is Omnideck? It becomes your company portal, a centralized hub, a single place for forms and workflow. And we see that our clients are able to reduce the amount of time and money it takes to implement a new process. Instead of going out and buying a new app, think about this. We'll just do it in Omnideck. You're already using it for expense reports. And we also see about 60% reduction in corporate email from using Omnideck. Here's a few example use cases, and then we'll jump into the product. But a lot of companies that work with Omnideck can use it for many, many different things. Sometimes people come to us and have a really custom process, something that they want to build out in a department. Well, we can help with that. But the common request or, hey, let's do pay apps. Let's do warranty requests. We've got an expense reporting need or crew time, individual time. We want to pull that in from the field. Inspection tickets, safety, PTO requests, HR onboarding. So these are some of the real common ones that we typically see from our clients. And invariably, they come to us for just a couple of things and it starts to bleed into other departments. And we find these ancillary needs that we don't really have an app for, but we're managing on a spreadsheet or in a paper form somewhere. Omnideck's great for that. So let's go ahead and take a look into the software. And I'm going to give you guys a look into a day in the life of Omnideck. And what's interesting here is Omnideck is sort of my cup of coffee screen. When I get up in the morning, I sit down at my desk to go to work and have my cup of coffee. This is what I see. This is Omnideck's home site, our business portal, if you will. And I can see a bunch of stuff that's going on. Well, I'm logged in as Chris Jordan, our CEO, but this is sort of like my Outlook. It really does reduce how much communication I need through my phone and Outlook. So I can come in here, for instance, and take a look at, let's say, here's a sales order log that I submitted as a new company that partnered with us, Brahma Construction. I can see all their items that they ordered and all the numbers to go with it in the form. And then I typed to, let's see, we found out that they paid through Stripe. And Chris said, great, thanks for the confirmation. So the chat messages here, we can see all the members that were involved in approval, that it's approved, and an audit log of every step of the way, who did what and when did they do it, right? So I can then go to other stuff here and see what's complete, what's not complete. See, this out of office request from Pratishka is 67% complete. It's not approved yet. So we can see where they're approving this and having this chat message here. And Pratishka entered a PTO request. Well, it might be that I need to go back and do some reporting, like in our insights here. So I might take a look and want to look at some of my, employees here at Omnideck in the sales department. So and I'm kind of getting ahead of the demo here for the sake of showing you a day in the life of Omnideck. So, I might come in here and say, you know what? I need to see everything that was for a particular employee. They're pretty new. We want to check in on them, see how they're doing. So let's take, I'm going to look at my condensed view here. I want to look at an employee, so I'll just drag that to the top here. And maybe not Allison. Let's take a look at, see, Chris has a bunch in here. Let's look at Danny's expense report to Bistro Italia. Or maybe I want to filter all this by anything over $500. I could do that too. And I can export this out to Excel, maybe play with the numbers if I want. But I'm going to take a look at this expense report. It looks like it was approved on this date and this time, 8/5/19. We've got a picture of the receipt that they attached. And by the way, any of this could have been done on their phone, and it probably was. So it was approved and ready to go. So we're really doing all of our business process through Omnideck. The big question is, okay, how hard is this for me to use at my company? Well, it's pretty easy. So let me show you a quick form example. Looks like we got somebody else coming in here. Alrighty. So I might just come in here and give you a quick form example and pull up an expense report, right? Or a time card. Where's my expense report here? There we go. So I might be an employee out in the field and just need to submit an expense report, just had lunch off site. And so I can come in here and it's going to auto configure to the type of device that you have, the size of device. And, if I need to take a picture here or whatever, it's going to use my gallery, and then I can sign it at the bottom and submit it. So iPad, Android, whatever you're on, easy to use there. But I can come into my marketplace here, and oftentimes, you get started on a system and you don't know where to start, especially systems with a lot of configurability and settings. What we've done in Omnideck is made it easy to start. This is sort of our quick start library, you might call it. And so by department, I can come in here and download or add any of these forms to my library. I might come in here and say, you know what, we need a new purchase order. And yeah, we've got purchase orders in our ERP system in Sage, but we'd like a better purchase request to capture the data from the field and then enter it into Sage. Well, we can do that, or a change order. So you might look at this change order and say, you know what, this has job on it, description of work, labor, materials, some other things. This looks pretty good, but I need to change a few items on it. So I can come into my form designer here and, you know, I might want to edit this, but we'll go with an expense report here. And once I've pulled in that expense report or that change order, I want to match it to my company. So what's great about this one, it's already built. I have a grocery list of items here on the left side that I can just drag and drop. I might pick this yes or no and say, is the receipt present, right? I need to call this receipt. And now anybody that submits an expense report, they have to tell me if the receipt is there or not. Why is this important? Well, I can go back to my reports and show me everything in the month of September that did not have a receipt present, and then I can export that to Excel. Now I'm doing focused task work on automation that helps me actually move my day along pretty quickly. Maybe we don't call them manager, maybe we call them, you know, project lead. So real easy for me to change these. This is an expense report. So what's cool about this is it's doing math. It's really, really powerful, sort of like Excel. You don't lose any of those familiar capabilities that you're using today, probably quite a bit in expense reporting, but now you've added the automation. So for instance, in here for my mileage, maybe we don't charge 0.55, maybe it's 0.545. We've changed the amount that we reimburse for, right? So it's going to do math in here. You can see this date of trip is F1. These cells are all named. This one's A1 and A2. So it's doing A1 times 0.545. So you can really use Omnideck for a lot of different things here. Now I might need something a little more complex than this. And in that case, you might come in and go, you know what, we've got a crew time card. We've got 10 guys, 15 guys out on the job site, and we really need more than that. You know, a little form's not going to help. Well, that's fine. What you can do here, and I'll just call this test. I can come into the system and I may not know anything about programming. I certainly don't. And it's pretty easy for me to come in here and just drag what we call a cluster down here to the bottom. Now, this is just sort of a grid format, but maybe I want to build like a daily report that's capturing, you know, labor and materials. All I'm going to do is just name my tab. So I configure the tab and I name it labor. Well, what do I want to capture on a time card? Well, I want to capture the employee for sure. And assets, just a list table that's in Sage. So we've already done the integration in the background. All you're doing is connecting them. So maybe employee, the job, number of hours. We're just going to make this real easy, and maybe cost code over repeating assets. Okay. So we've built a time card right here for a crew. All I have to do is name this. So we're just going to call this one job, or employee rather. And then I'm connecting this to my employees. Again, our integrations team has already done this work in the background. So all you're doing is saying, where does this information go? In a lot of places in Sage 100 Contractor and Sage 300 CRE, or as many of us know at Timberline, what a lot of us can do is connect to multiple areas. The real common areas are job costs, POs, change orders, payroll time entry, subcontracts. You know, these kind of things are real common for us, but we can definitely pull a lot of information and sync it with this to make sure it's relevant. Now, why does that matter? Well, I just built this with you. You know, we might build an equipment tab here or whatever, but let's take a look at this real time and show you where this would actually matter. Make sure I have, doesn't look like I have my daily report here. Maybe we have a few in here. I think it may have been processed already. Well, this is what I wanted to show you, but it's not filled out here yet. But this daily timesheet, if I went in to pull in my employee, right, I started clicking that, no employees are showing up. Well, why not? Well, I haven't selected a job yet. And this one's already been filled out, so it's probably not a good example. Let me go into one here. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah. So my employee doesn't come up, but here's all my jobs, and I select one of my jobs, and now we've got all the employees that are associated with that job. So all kinds of rules and criteria you need to set. Maybe certain employees only have certain craft types. We can read that type of profile data within our system or within your system within Sage. So this is an example of a timesheet like what I built a moment ago. And very, very easy way and digestible way to pull in a lot of data, a lot of expense data or a lot of time data. We've got equipment here, can even manage productivity from the field. And I'll show you what we're doing for Sage Intacct right now to do sort of a percent complete. Anybody who just joined the call, please put your phones or computers on mute. We sure appreciate it. So some of our companies our construction clients are even doing safety here as well and pulling in their schedule of values. So a lot of really good stuff that we can do here. Now, if we stay with the example of time, you might do like some of our clients are doing and build a time card template that's already done. Maybe you have a lot of employees that are salary, or they're, most of them are working 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day, and it's pretty common for them to work that time, right? So I built one of these daily reports, and the timesheet's already done for my common employees. So I just built a template. All I did is filled it out and clicked save as template. So now all the employees have to do is come in and cost code it, right? They just come in and say, hey, this is for shelter lighting materials, and we spent 4 hours there. You see, it takes the time away from their total hours, but maybe we want to cost code it to something else as well, right? So we can come in here and just, the employee can start changing or adding cost codes or changing their time, and now the master time card is filled out. Well, if they want to send it in an individual time card, or you want to have a PM out in the field with an iPad with multiple guys, you can just click them and enter them here. So real easy to do this, get it inside of Sage. We can push that data back in. So really helpful. So what some people are starting to think about in their migration path, you might be on Sage 100 or 300 right now, but people are talking to you about, hey, eventually you need to move to the cloud, right? Cloud ERP, everybody's talking about that. Well, that may not be in the cards for your company right now because everybody's busy, but eventually that will have to happen. And what some of our clients are starting to see is the ones that are migrating to a new system, when they've got so many things that they're doing inside of their company on Omnideck, like look at all these different things that we have, our accounting departments on it, administration, our knowledge base for our clients is on here, all of our marketing, all of our support, right? So all these have forms associated with them, right? So our entire company is on here. So for us to migrate to a new accounting system is not difficult. It literally cuts the time in thirds, if you will, because all we're doing is we're unplugging Omnideck and then we're plugging it back into the new system. So we just have to reconnect the tables. I may give you a little bit deeper look into this. I'll click on my admin here. And what we'll take a look into is our sync tables inside of the system. I'm going to show you this side actually. We've got this thing called assets. And what is this doing? When we talk about connecting Sage to other applications, it's sometimes a long and tedious conversation. But what we can do in Omnideck is sync that data from Sage, pull it in, and in some areas push it back into Sage. But you can manage Omnideck as a database. Maybe you have a tools list, or let me see, all my employees. I'm pulling this in from our Sage Intacct instance for demos, right? This is all pulling in here. All my GL codes are syncing into here. And we do this daily or multiple times a day. But we've got some clients who have, an inventory list that's syncing from another tool, an Access database. So we're actually able to pull the data from multiple places into Omnideck, sort of as your master database. That makes all these forms really, really easy to fill out, easy to send around. So the other side to this is, okay, we can fill out a form, we can collect data any way we want. Sailor, that makes sense, but now what? Where does it go? Well, for any form that you create, you can create a workflow. And these workflows aren't anything crazy. Let me just pick an expense report here. And I've been demoing multiple types of software over the last 17, 18 years. It's something, a challenge I've found is, you buy a piece of software to solve this problem in the accounting department or wherever, and you start implementing it and realizing, oh my gosh, this is not as easy to configure, and the routing is not nearly as easy as we need. So when it comes to approval workflow, this really is the name of the game in automation. So somebody fills out an expense report, where does it go? Well, I might have them send it to a department, or right here, I have a hierarchy node. And then I just pick which department. So once they fill out an expense report, it goes to my accounting department. And we want to put a condition on that. So anything that's like, say, below or above a certain requested amount, I'll put greater than, I don't know, $1,000. Then it needs to go to the CFO for approval. I just name that, and then to the controller. But if it's below $1,000, it can just go to the controller for approval. Now that expense report will flow back into Sage once it's finally approved and reach the end here. Well, so that's great, but the other side to this is, if we've got a lot of employees in our company, right? We've got all these forms. Well, we get a new employee. What do they do? Do we have to build out all those forms for that employee? No. In Omnideck, what we do is you can actually manage the entire hierarchy of your company in basically separate portals or separate boxes. So these circles or ovals you see, these are actual portals. Like I have a vendor portal, a new hire portal. The squares are departments in the company. So we might have pre-construction, accounting, construction, management. Well, the beautiful thing about this hierarchy is, for new hires, we may have a new hire that just came in, Lauren Sutherland, but now she's going to the pre-construction department and we want to add her as a user. Well, as soon as she goes to pre-construction, she inherits all the forms that that user in that department needs. So another example of that is, hey, we've got a new onboarding form that we want to deploy across the company. All we have to do is create the form in Omnideck, and we can deploy it across all departments or select departments in just a couple of clicks. So this is something we don't see in other softwares, but we've made that really, really easy to do. Also, if I wanted to move somebody from the purchasing department or from construction to purchasing, real easy. I just go to purchasing and I go to my list of users and I add the user. Now he inherits all the roles and rights and forms and processes of the purchasing department at that level. Alrighty, so another way to look at this too is, we're talking about this whole picture of collecting data easily, chatting around the data, approving or rejecting the data, the particular form, and then also deploying this out against other departments. Well, when we talk about an ECM strategy and how do we get rid of all the paper and possibly even an app or two, we need to really start to think about who is taking those files and filing them away in the proverbial file cabinet, right? We're all using a drive on our server, or OneNote or OneDrive or something like that. And some people are using SharePoint or some other system. Well, Omnideck helps you decline the need for any of that. So it's auto building the data for you in what we call channels here. And actually, yeah, this is a good place to show you. So I might come in here. It looks like I don't have any built here, but I'll come into Omnideck and our home system. But I might want to look at a new employee that we've got. He's been with us for 30 days. So I can build a channel basically on anything that I want. So a channel might be on, it might be on a job, or it might be on an employee. And in fact, this might be a good example just to show you from scratch. So let's take jobs, and we want to do a channel on every job. So any type of form that's ever submitted for this job, Northwest Food Warehouse, I'm going to see that. Now, see how that all popped up? Omnideck is building an ECM strategy for you. It's automatically logging and organizing these forms and all of this data for you as you go. So it really is real-time data that's organized in a way that's digestible for the entire company and reportable across all departments. So right here for this job, I can see the referential data out of Sage, and I can see every report or form submission from that job. So like there was 3 expense reports on this job. Well, let me take a look at those. Angela submitted 2, and I can view one of these if I'd like to. So I can go into that report or that expense report rather. Well, I'm also taking a look at all these forms in sequential order as well. Maybe I want to look at a date range, or everybody that was on this job is going to be part of this conversation. So I want to bring up the job and say, hey, does anybody know what happened to the pump that was on the job or that piece of equipment? We can't find it. Now everybody's going to get an email, and then they can see the message in that email and log back in directly to the form and chat back. Maybe I want to take a look at a channel or a folder on a piece of equipment. We just spent $200,000 on a new backhoe, right? So let's take a look at that piece of equipment. No forms have been submitted on this yet. Looks like we have a few that are being submitted. We can start typing and finding out what are we billing on our billing rate. Maybe we need to increase the rate, right? So real easy to manipulate information and see information the way you want. So right now I'm going to take a quick pause, and we're going to do a quick poll question. So if everybody would take a second and answer the question here. And we've got a question about tech adoption. Love to see what everybody thinks. Let me know if for some reason you can't see the poll there. Then the question is application training or technology adoption a challenge in your company? Sort of a gimme question, but I'll give you all a second to answer. All right, looks like everybody's answered. Thank you for your participation. So it looks like most are having some challenge with application training in-house or technology adoption in the field. And then a few aren't, which is good to hear. Looks like you guys are staying on top of things as well. Well, I will tell you that when we start to implement something like Omnideck, what we've seen, what our customers have seen, is that it's a little easier to start to implement technology and train on it. Appreciate, if you can, that I'm John out in the field, and my employee experience was when I came into Omnideck, and I'll just take you into this real quickly here. I'm gonna take you through my new hire packet. I may not have it here, but that's okay. That's okay. So, so if I were to get hired on at Omnideck and I fill out my new hire packet, and then I come in, let me see, I've got that probably here. This was just copied over. So I've got my new hire packet. I start filling this out. I'm familiar with filling the form. I've got my PDFs, like my I-9 W-4s in here. And at the bottom, I'm just going to click this and I'm going to sign it. And I've finished my new hire onboarding, right? I would submit this. Now I've used Omnideck once. I'm trained on Omnideck as an employee out in the field. If you can appreciate that same employee, now when he goes to fill out an expense report, it's not much different. It's just filling out a form. So once he knows how to do this, he's filled this out. I click save on the form or submit, and then I start having a chat conversation around that. Everybody's using Facebook or some type of social media. They know how to use Omnideck pretty quickly. It doesn't take much for you to implement a new process. So This is the secret to tech adoption. We have a couple of clients on the line. I wouldn't put them on the spot to speak, but we've spoken to our clients and they've seen a lot of success with, hey, I don't have to have 5 apps out in the field. Maybe I can just have Procore and Omnideck, or just 2, right? Or even in the office. So this really starts to open up the flexibility of taking what we're doing in a spreadsheet today and automating that in Omnideck, maybe like a simple time card. Or, it could be that you really have big tech adoption issues in training. Things are really busy right now, but to train new employees out in the field to also use your inherent in-house systems and get them productive in a short amount of time span is really tough right now. So no wonder a lot of people are having issues with tech adoption. So with that, I'll kind of close things out and open them up for questions. We'd love to spend more time with you on more of a one-on-one demo and show you some examples that work for your company. Actually, the last thing I'll show you here, I'm going to show you one form or two that we've built for some recent prospects or people looking to partner with Omnideck, and then I'll show you one last thing. But I think we have. Let me see here. Yeah, here's a roofing company. They were looking at Omnideck. They sat in on a webinar and they sent us one of their forms. They had a roofing daily time card and they said, hey, can you build this for us? And so we booked a demo with them one-on-one, and then we booked some of their jobs. We built this out so they could see that when an employee is filling out a time card, that it's pretty easy to do. And we actually put in their data in here. So they were able to see this live, their jobs and everything, and then the sign off. So this is the exact form that they sent us, but theirs was on PDF, right? They're printing it out, and we're able to automate that and show them how it would work in Omnideck. So, hey, we'd love to do that for you. Go ahead and look us up and on our website, omnideck.com, and let's book a one-on-one demo. But the last thing I'll mention here is this is Omnideck in a whole. All of the departments that we're pulling data from, our accounting department, our support department, sales, everything is right here. And we're using Power BI. We're on the Azure SQL database. We're a Microsoft shop. I think this is $9 a month, but we have a guy that builds Power BI reports for us. But our whole company is right here. We can see by company we're working with, Caretaker Landscape. We can see that we've completed 99 hours of consulting with them. They wanted to bring us in to help them with a bunch of stuff, but they contracted for 100. So it looks like we have just a little bit left. And here's who we're spending the most time with. So we're being really transparent here, but this is a quick snapshot at multiple departments right here in Power BI, which you can use any data analytics tool you want. But we have our entire company real time, up to the minute, and across departments, we can look at reporting. So that's where you really start to get production, is when you organize the company or your business process from the executive dashboard down. What metrics do you want to see? And let's build systems or find systems to manage our company that support that metric that we're trying to find, or that goal. So with that, I'm going to open things up for questions. Anybody who wants to ask a question, please put your phone off of mute and ask away. If you're not able to ask a question because you're on mute or it's not working, just send the question through the chat if you would. All righty, looks like we don't have any more questions. So with that, feel free to reach out to us if you have questions or would like to book a one-on-one demo. My name's Sailor Howell with Omnideck, and I appreciate your time today. Thanks very much.